All right. Welcome, everyone. 2 people. Thank you for coming out. So this is the third public informative meeting that we've had on the Drury Square Village District Bylaw. So our intent is to bring this to the Maytown meeting. So far, the town planner, the zoning bylaw review committee, economic development, and CMRPC has worked really hard to put this draft together. So it's essentially in the final version, but today we want to give one last chance to kind of inform people what we're doing and then allow any questions or comments and suggestions. So I'm just going to kind of go over some prior planning efforts for this area. So it all kind of started with the Drury Square plan by Harriman that was done in February 2017. This basically set the foundation for all the zoning bylaw moving forward. The Economic Development Comprehensive Plan and the Mobility 2040 Long Range Plan for Auburn Street also came into play when drafting this bylaw. So one of the supplemental things we've done along with this bylaw is the facade improvement program. So this is in draft so far. So as part of the overall effort to support the business community of Auburn, the town was working with Central One Federal Credit Union to set up a program essentially to help tenants or business owners make improvements and give them incentives to do so. So a preliminary informational session was held in June 18th of 2018 for all the business owners, which they expressed some interest, and thankfully we applied for the EEA grant to develop clear design guidelines, and thankfully we got supplemental grant funds from DLTA from CMRPC. So we'll actually get started on this design guidelines soon for Drury Square. The next thing that will help supplement this is the Drury Square wayfinding and branding project. So this is to basically create a logo for Drury Square to incorporate the essence of the center of town. And we applied for a grant through the Downtown Initiative Program, and we should find out within this week or next week whether we received it or not. But this will help us brand some signs for Drury Square to show public parking areas, open space, business opportunities, and create a cost estimate for the signage as well, to just give more awareness to the area. So the next thing we're going to go over, I'm going to turn over to Adam, but he's going to go over the boundaries and the zoning bylaw thus far, what work has been done already.
Good evening. My name's Adam Menard. I'm the town planner. So before you is the map of the proposed zoning district. It encompasses all of Drury Square, a good chunk of Auburn Street, Southwood Street, all the municipal buildings in that area, the high school and all the fields, the library, God Park, the fire station, plus all the, in the red, you can see all the commercial buildings that are right along Auburn Street and Southbridge Street. And the purple there is the post office. So it encompasses a good size area. We didn't want to go any larger. We thought this was a good start for Drury Square. So the process thus far, and Jen mentioned this already, the bylaw was written, the proposed bylaw was written, the collaboration between CMRPC, town administration, the zoning bylaw review committee had some input, and town council has reviewed an earlier draft of this. We're going to be going back to town council probably within the week or so to get their feedback to make sure we're all set and within the law. There's been a lot of public outreach, and Sharon already mentioned this. This is the third public forum. There's also been zoning bylaw review committees that have been public meetings, and there'll be further public meetings about this bylaw. There'll be further zoning bylaw review committees. We'll go over it, and planning board will have to have a public hearing before this goes to town meeting, again, hopefully in May. Some of the goals were to create a walkable mixed-use area, incorporates retail, commerce, as well as residential uses. Some of the mixed uses, generally like 3-story buildings, office in the bottom, residential in the top, something like that. So this includes long-range plans for Drury Square. The long-range plans, Jen already mentioned some of this. There's the wayfinding grant that the town received, and design guidelines the town received a grant for. In Auburn Street, from about Burlington Way, a little past that, down towards Walsh Ave, it's supposed to be redone in the next year or so. The TIP project, it's partially funded by the state. Going to be repaved, the new sidewalk going to be put in, some decorative lighting, just make it a lot more accessible area, a walkable area. Some of the provisions, new bylaw, this will apply to new construction, or if a building is being reused for a different purpose, this new bylaw will take into effect. The current properties, the current businesses are all grandfathered in. They will not be immediately impacted by this. If they don't change at all, they won't be impacted at all. It's only going forward if they decide to change the use or, like I said, build a new building or alter in a dramatic way the building that currently exists. Be able to have more than one use on a particular lot. Right now, that's kind of restricted in town. You can't have multiple uses on a parcel. The idea is with mixed use is to have office or retail on the first floor and residential units above that. So we can have multiple uses in the same lot, same building. Does anybody have any questions about that so far? All right, Heidi from CMRPC is going to talk about what the square could look like someday, some renderings that they've done for us.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Heidi Murphy. I'm a principal planner at CMRPC. So what we have behind here up on this presentation is its potential renderings or ideas of what Drury Square could look like over a long period of time. These are improvements that we are hoping to see gradually. We are not expecting them to be immediate. But the reason why we put these renderings together is so you can sort of have more of a concrete idea of what you might be able to see there in the future. So this particular rendering, this is the Verizon building at the corner. And what it promotes here is in the front, you would have pedestrian-friendly frontages. So you see the sidewalks, and then you can see the entryway to the building. It incorporates complete street principles, which, if anyone doesn't know what a complete street is, it's basically, it's a road or a street that is designed to be safe for people who walk, people who bicycle, or people who are driving their car. And in the back, you'll see infill rear shared parking, which basically would mean there would be shared parking for all the buildings that would be on the lot. This is just another kind of a complete type of rendering that shows what that same lot could look like, and that's sort of more of an overhead view. What we did is we tried to show like sort of some angled roofs in there, some multi-story mixed roof. Adaptive reuse would mean new uses in existing buildings in the event an existing use goes out of use and the building is sold in the future. And it would have safe traffic routing going all around through the lot to make sure that vehicular traffic goes in and out safely. This is the post office. Again, these are conceptual, just to make you think, but the reason why we like that is it shows handicap parking in the front. Obviously, the sidewalks would be constructed to ADA accessibility standards as well. And this last rendering is of Auburn Pizza. And again, it incorporates complete streets. It shows bicycle racks in the front, pedestrian lighting in the front, landscaping, and basically, we just want to promote an aesthetically pleasing district over time. We are collectively happy to answer any questions you may have. In addition, we also have a copy of the PowerPoint up here with a copy of the draft bylaw, and there's a sign-in sheet if you would like to sign in on your way out.
If I'm going to a Verizon store, why would I want to walk when I can park right behind it? I can already park behind it and walk to the store without, I'm all for updating the fronts and the looks of the buildings and all that. I just don't understand why, that looks pretty, but it doesn't give me anything any more than I already have, because I can park behind Verizon and walk around the building and into the front door.
So it encourages if you start, say you start at Town Pizza and you want to do a one-stop shop, pretty much doing all your uses at once. So if you're doing all your uses at once, it kind of encourages people, rather than get back in their car, drive to Town Pizza parking lot, get out of their car, then go to the Verizon parking lot. Eventually, over time, it tries to create the district into a more walkable area. So you're really encouraging foot traffic to try to get more business, having more foot traffic in their buildings, encouraging to just use really what we have there. Like, for example, next to the fire department is that public parking, but a lot of people aren't aware that we have that, so it kind of would try to bring awareness to the fact that you can use recreation in the area with the park, but then you can go get lunch, then you can go to Verizon, or whatever future businesses may be there. It just encourages more foot traffic rather than that disjointment that comes when you have to drive each place. So so obviously right now Verizon is one of the ones you can park behind, go around and do it.
Town Pizza.
Yeah, but it requires kind of more that one-stop shop rather than encouraging them to walk all throughout. So it's a long-range effort to try to just encourage that more.
And I assume that these businesses wouldn't be putting up signs that says for customers of this business only.
Exactly, yep, so it would be shared parking for what's there, or you could use the public parking. If you would like to do that, then walk. It just encourages more shared use and more collaboration between businesses, and more collaboration between people who are in that area. So more, utilizing more resources that are available.
What about the tennis courts?
Right near, like next to Town Pizza, that area.
Well, the tennis courts that are right on.
Yep, so that would be incorporated as the open space, and part of the wayfinding also that accompanies this bylaw would be more signage to encourage people to take advantage of the open space area and to have parking and more safer like access to those areas, like crossing the street, making more awareness. Hi. Same with Goddard Park. It's not utilized very much right now, so kind of freshening that up, having signage, making people aware, so business owners on their lunch break or people in town can kind of use that recreational opportunity that are there that I don't think many people really utilize or are aware of. So doing commercial and recreational at once. That's the goal over time.
Are there any of this space that the town can take now or do anything to now? I mean, I know Verizon's not going in, you know,
Yeah.
stuff is not going in. Is there any space that's open that the town has plans to put some of these shops in, this kind of thing?
So the only areas we currently own is like the Goddard Park, all the municipal buildings that are there, which there's no current plans to, you know, commercialize those right now. So really in our control, this is something we can kind of do to encourage future development, encourage this overall zoning change to make more of a true downtown. Same with the facade improvement. We can give incentives to try to help businesses freshen up their facades if they would like to, give them financial incentives. Same with the wayfinding and signage. That's really what is in our ballpark right now. Goddard Park, obviously, we would like to redo that, make it more nicer for business owners and people in town to utilize on their time off or on their lunch break, something like that, freshening that up, which we would like to do. Hopefully with the billboards are going into the mall, so potentially utilizing some of those donation funds to help fund that, but that's currently what we have in plan, but no current plans for anything else in that area. Hi.
Sorry,
Of course.
I'm late.
Of course.
But what is, this whole plan is to dress up the existing buildings?
So this plan is basically helping the uses of the area. So it's a zoning bylaw, so it kind of specifies some zoning changes that would happen if the buildings were changed in footprint or change of use, but everything currently there is grandfathered in. Supplemental to this bylaw, we have a few other initiatives like the facade improvement program and the wayfinding and signage program that will accompany this eventually. Yep.
And what are you going to do with Southwood Street?
So part of Southbridge Street is on, let me bring up the boundary really quick, just so you can, there we go. So Drury Square, it accompanies where Shaw's and Bed Bath & Beyond is, that's one of the sides, and it goes all the way down to the plumbing place and Town Fair Tire, that part of Southbridge Street. So it accompanies that little bit of Southbridge Street, right there. So,
Trying to figure out where you are.
This is Shaw's and Bed Bath, yes, Southbridge Street, Town Fair Tires here, and Plumbing's up here.
Yep. And then the blue is all the town-owned, so right there is the high school, and then the fire department's down here. The post office is that little purple parcel right up there, just to kind of help you situate.
Have any of the business owners that you've spoken with, are they eager to start redoing things as soon as this passes, or?
I mean, this is...
Changing until they have?
I mean, we've invited the Drury Square businesses to all the meetings, had opportunities. We've had plenty of them come, which is great, just to be informed on this new bylaw. It would obviously be up to them whether they would want to change uses or anything like that.
If any of them expressed that they were super eager to start immediately, or
With-
if they said anything about it.
Yeah, with this, some of the questions that were brought up were more so our use is grandfathered in, what would happen if we sold our property, stuff like that. When it comes to the other incentives that we have on the back burner that we're currently working on behind the scenes, like the facade improvement, we have had some businesses express interest with that and stuff like that. So I think it's a mix of people who are eager to go, and then I think with the bylaw, like any bylaw, it takes time to have change and really see that change, but it's nice to have those tools in place to really encourage businesses and make it easier on them if they want to. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Someone else was raising.
Sure, and then I can come back to you and do that? Okay, sure, go ahead.
If you were to buy lunch at either of the two pizza places there, and you want to eat your lunch in Goddard Park, you have to cross, neither street is great to cross, either Southbridge Street or Central Street. What consideration is given to that?
So that, I would assume,
The tip.
just like last time, it would be more for the TIP project, that would be addressed with the safety measures for pedestrians, which that came up the last meeting as well, more of the safety regarding the crossing. Yeah. So that's more of the, in 2020. So they'll be having public meetings. The state will have those public meetings regarding what they're doing to Auburn Street and the reconstruction of that, where those should be brought up at that time, definitely. And we will, as town administration, obviously that's something we want to address as we move forward with the new bylaw as well. But I think it would be mostly addressed when they start putting more pedestrian-friendly crossing lots, lighting systems, stuff like that. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I know that I walked the district with Heidi November, and I hadn't walked it in a while. And it's not easy to get around. The sidewalks don't necessarily make sense. They're narrow, they're in bad shape. So part of the TIP program plan should be they will be redoing them. They should hopefully make them a little bit wider. The lighting should be better. The crosswalks themselves should make more sense, so the timing is proper. The challenge is Southbridge Street is a state road. It's Route 12, so there's some problem that we can't just do what we want on Southbridge Street. Auburn Street, because it's a TIP program, it's going to be supposed to be a complete street, so it's supposed to make things really easy to get around. And hopefully, because it's a state project, they'll take into account that is a major intersection. I think there's upwards of 15,000 cars that go through that intersection every day. It's very busy, so we want to make it safer. I think I saw crosswalks by the high school over where McDonald's is Yongshing. I think they're going to make that a crosswalk, though I can't say for sure. We don't have final plans. Definitely slow down the speed. People fly through there. That's going to be a consideration.
So kind of compound off this, which is a good part. That's why we want to have this in place around the same time the TIP project's coming on. It's a good time to really incorporate things that we would like to see in the area for safety measures, so it can actually become a walkable district over time. Because that is a concern that's been brought up and is a concern obviously to us to make this a successful downtown. That's going to have to be addressed more, definitely.
What businesses do not fit into this village district that is currently there?
So all the current ones are grandfathered, so they won't be forced to change at all what they currently have, or if they sell a property but it's the same use, they'd be
Yeah,
able
but
to go.
as I know, but what businesses will not be allowed in the village district that are currently there?
like if the bylaw was to
Yeah, if
be
everything,
perfectly in place now. So some of the examples, like a drive-through fast food, for example, that's one of the ones that is
so
prohibited.
that's McDonald's.
Yep, yep.
That would be gone.
So that would be potentially if McDonald's wanted to go into an area that's completely different than it is now, obviously that would be under prohibited use there. But if McDonald's can continue to stay.
So you're dealing with drive-through, so that would be also Saber's Bank, another bank.
It's a different definition. I can give you a draft in the bylaw. So there's prohibited uses in there and stuff that's allowed by special permits, stuff like that. So I can show
Prohibited,
That's not,
prohibited uses are on page 4.
you. Yeah. So
At the bottom of page 4. Up above it, B, uses by special permit are on page 4. And uses allowed by right are on the preceding page on page 3.
So some of those examples, we went over this more in the last public meeting, but so basically what it encourages is the mixed use. So like Adam said, retail on the bottom, residential units on top to kind of make the most out of a parcel and make the most out of a building. Cafes, restaurants, art galleries, business offices, personal services such as barbers, beauty shops, which we have those in Drury Square currently as well, live workspace, civic uses, assembly halls. So those would be allowed by rights, and those are just a little bit, and the full list is in the draft bylaw. So some uses that are allowed with special permit by the planning board would be, for example, like assisted living units, a movie house with maximum of 2 screens, veterinary care, pharmacies or compounding center, a fitness center, funeral home, stuff like that. And prohibited uses would be a single-use residential, so that would just be a single house, because obviously to encourage foot traffic, a single-use house would only encourage so much. It would just encourage that family to use that space. Drive-through restaurants, standalone fast food establishments, animal kennels, motels, stuff like that. So really, the prohibited uses are the uses that really take away from the walkable experience. So you want to get stuff down there that encourages people to kind of shop around, have a richer business community in that area. And we have more draft bylaws too, if you guys want to take a copy to look over as well. And did you have another question too? Okay, great.
well, the stuff that you got say you can't use, that you do have already in there, like the car wash is a Fuller's place there.
Yep.
So if they wanted to sell, the people coming over would either have to tear the whole facility down and rebuild, or,
Nope, so they could sell their property to another person with auto use, and that'd be grandfathered in. So
so that building is grandfathered forever to be a car wash?
yep, unless if they change like the footprint significantly, they're building new construction, that's when the bylaw would really come into play. Or someone's looking to change the use, like if they sold the building and someone wanted to put something completely different, then the bylaw would come into play.
Some of the things that you're mentioning here were in Drury Square 60 years ago, and they all failed. Okay, so has that been given into consideration?
I mean, I think obviously it takes time to build up a walkable district, and I think that's how these centers survive, is when you change the culture of the center. So obviously it's not going to happen overnight, and it would have to be a complete shift in that whole area to really encourage all of that to happen and take place.
And to implement this whole project, besides just zoning changes, how much money is going to, how much is it going to cost? And who's paying for it?
So it doesn't cost anything for a zoning change. For the facade improvement, it wouldn't cost the town anything. We got a grant to actually do the design guidelines, and that was granted in full. So all of that work by consultants and CMRPC is paid for by the grant. Same with the wayfinding project to draft that. The zoning simply just gives guidelines. It doesn't force any change with what is existing or cost anything to make those changes on the town.
So our tax dollar isn't going to be affected by any kind of change that you made there?
For the zoning, no, this bylaw wouldn't.
I know, but I don't mean just for the zoning, I'm talking about for the whole.
Now,
Yes.
who's
So theoretically, over time, the value of the properties
Properties go
go up with
No, down.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that encourages it. That's what basically a bylaw does.
properties in the district? That's what you,
Yeah, because you'd be able to, instead of being limited by some of the restrictions, if you bought one of these parcels and wanted to develop it, you could build a 3-story building, which you can't do today. You could put retail on the ground floor, an office on the second floor, an apartment on the third floor. It's a much more valuable building than, you
And
know,
then when that gets built up, the homes adjacent to that, the local district also have an increased value as well.
Yeah, you would have amenities available to people who are close in the district, which is obviously a selling point for a lot of people that like that downtown feel. You see a lot of that in Hudson comes to my mind just because I just was there. Hudson has a really great, they've redeveloped their downtown awesomely. I mean, I think it looks great and it really encourages a walkable district. Millbury is starting to, there's a lot of places that really have that because they have the old mill buildings. Auburn's a little different because it started as a bedroom community, so we never really had that quintessential downtown. So this basically tries to create that out of what the space we have now, and tries to give the most to each parcel. So like he said, multi-use. So business owners can do retail if they want, housing if they want, and any of the uses that are allowed either by right or a special permit. It just gives more variety to the area and encourages businesses to thrive in the area. But and obviously, like we said, with all the TIP project and everything, residents will be notified when that starts as well. But that's separate than just the zoning bylaw itself.
part of this is so that people will usually walk through the village, right?
Mm-hmm.
And parking facilities and would be located where?
So there'd be shared parking for the businesses, like one of the slides, let me show you that. So so this kind of shows a good example of, Heidi explained the infill and shared parking. So if there was multiple uses of this parcel, they could share the parking there. A lot of times in downtowns, a restaurant might be open at night where the barber shop is only open during the afternoon, so you can share the parking rather than having a sea of parking not utilized and not utilized for the majority of the day when it can be. Also bringing more awareness to the public parking we do have next to the fire station, options like that as well. So it just encourages the shared parking mostly to make that work. Like the Bed Bath & Beyond property is a good example. It has a huge parking lot area for 2 buildings, whereas that could be utilized either to put more buildings there if they ever wanted to, or parking and then go into the rest of Drury Square.
The parking lot is full when there's full loading.
Yeah, exactly. So it's, they're already using it for other ways when they need to, which is, that's encouraged kind of within the district. It's similar.
Maybe I didn't hear it, but how are they going to get across Southwood Street?
So that was something we would be addressed in the TIP project mostly. So that's the state project predominantly. They're going to look at the safety aspects, crossing measures, ADA compliancy, all of that. On Auburn Street, obviously Southwood Street's a state road. Like Adam said, our hands are kind of tied with immediately doing something. Just because the town wants it, it has to go through Mass DOT and everything. But during that complete streets, residents will have opportunities to bring up concerns regarding that whole area, which those should be voiced, obviously, to make this a stronger area.
When you talked about the center that they have in Hudson, does that center have the traffic flow that Drury Square has?
They have, Hudson, I wouldn't say is, I don't know if they're as busy. I I just visited there, so I'm just speaking out of personal
I just wondered if
experience.
they
They have a rotary right down there, so they have, it's pretty significant, yeah. They have a rotary that goes multiple ways. It's, when I was down there at least, there was constant flow of traffic.
I just can't imagine a kid riding a bike down through Drury School.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's
it's
the,
possible, but I can't imagine it.
Yeah.
It's just so busy.
of course, and I mean, I think that's one of the things with zoning bylaws. Sometimes it's hard to envision the end result because, you know, right now it is very busy. It is very difficult to navigate through on foot. And that's why zoning kind of needs to be in place to start these visions. They have to start somewhere, and this is kind of that somewhere. It takes years for things to really come to fruition fully, and each change you make hopefully adds on to that to make it more of an area. But yeah, I agree. Currently, it would be very, you know, it would be dangerous to have a child ride their bike or cross
So it would
along.
be so far, there is no house there, people don't live there, so I mean, anyone to go there on a bike is coming from another part of town.
Exactly.
Ride their bike down Drury Square, this doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, that's why I would encourage that those mixed uses, those residential units. Yep.
But I think you could see, you know, once Auburn Street was improved, if there were sidewalks on both sides that were not, you know, scary looking and stuff. You can see people walking from this part of town down to Drury Square on a nice day. You can see people walking from the other side, you know, south of the street. It's really not that far. Right?
Yeah. And I mean, with Goddard Park and everything, you know, having better access and crossing and ADA compliancy, hopefully that encourages more use. I mean, there's a ton of open space and recreational opportunity in the area, so it'd be nice to have that easily, you know, accessible and used and utilized within the town. Is there any other questions or?
I actually was just going to go back. You asked if business owners have been, you know, involved in this. And I was involved in the visioning plan. A lot of the owners of the properties in the area were pretty actively involved in those initial sort of vision creation discussions. So.
Yeah, definitely with the Drury Square Vision Plan, there was a ton of input from residents and
Now, the
businesses.
first time this was proposed, a few years back, it was turned down
For,
in Auburn Village.
there was a Drury Square Vision Plan that was done a few years ago, that was completed in 2017. That's when
And
it,
he's talking about the original
the original,
bylaw proposal about 10 years ago.
about 10. Well, that was before.
Yeah.
I'm personally not aware. I just, that was before.
I'm not like too familiar with it, but I think I did read that it was proposed in 2008, around that time frame. I did not work for CMRPC. I wasn't here at the time. I don't know what the reasons were why it did not pass, but I'm speculating that because the town has embarked on an inclusive process to involve as many people as they can, that this time around, its chances for success are much greater.
And I think there was, I mean, just between the visioning process and the workshops, we had pretty decent attendance with that, where residents and businesses encouraged change in Drury Square. I think a lot of residents would love to see that area utilized more. I think business owners obviously would encourage more foot traffic, more, you know, bodies in the area. And I think with this, we've done 3 informative meetings, the zoning bylaw review. We've had online postings. We've tried our best to really reach out. I've personally sent emails and physical hard copies to the businesses in the area, and tried to collect as many emails as I could from the previous workshops. So we've really tried to make this as inclusive as possible and try to get any of the concerns or suggestions before town meeting, just to make people feel comfortable, just to let them know we're just trying to start a change in a positive way, but not forcefully change anything that's there. Obviously, it's all elective, whether business owners would like to or not.
Have you come up with any idea of how you can, say, help finance this facade changes for the,
So that's a separate thing than this, the facade. That's still in draft right now. We're currently working on the design guidelines. That would be voluntary as well. And we would need to really figure out that before the next step with the financial incentives. Our goal is hopefully to offer some financial incentives for this facade, but that wouldn't influence the
well, to
zoning.
get people to walk this area, you have to have something to attract them to start doing this.
Yeah, of course, and that's why we're trying to work on the design guidelines and the signage project separately than this. So this kind of lays the foundation just for zoning wise to give guidance for town administration and the businesses. And then all of the other two grants that we received will try to help give business owners some incentives to make changes in their facade or make it more of a unified look. So all three working together hopefully would help reshape the area.
And as far as, I'm not an expert, but as far as I know, there's about 2 businesses that attract people. One is McDonald's, which is a drive-through fast food restaurant, and the post office. The rest of it is very low traffic. And they have pizza.
Yeah, I mean, I think they all encourage foot traffic in their own way, but that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to slowly change it into more businesses that are more suitable for, higher use or more consistent use. Or even later, at night having a restaurant in the center of town that you can go to after you're done shopping. Because you don't really have that there besides, Town Pizza is more lunch and stuff like that. So it's kind of encouraging that multi-use. But it's going to take time. I mean, like anything, definitely takes time to encourage those changes.
The other thing that came out of the visioning plan is that area has a lot of municipal property. So you have the high school, you have the library, you have the fire station, and Goddard Park. So that there are things down the road the town can do. Those are, people do go to the library, people do go to the high school for sporting events, for theater things, right? So with a little more accessibility, a little more encouragement, a little more signage, it's, the idea is to just dress it up and make it a little more attractive for businesses to say, hey, there's a lot of people down here at night. I could, maybe I do have an option of putting a restaurant in here or putting, some other type of business that people would also like to go to while they're down here visiting the library. Not part of the zone, but obviously as an extension of that, you do have other businesses right outside that area that people will also go to.
One of the things the town did approve some expenditures for is looking at a new fire station and police station, and probably a combined facility, like they have up in Paxton.
Yeah, they're looking at all the options.
So I would say that fire station would be maybe not there anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's very preliminary right now, but obviously the consultants will help kind of finalize what the best solution would be for that. But yeah, that's a big parcel in Drury Square.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm just looking at that mock-up that's been up here. I do see you have bike lanes on Route 12. Is that something you were envisioning in the mock-up there?
I think it's something that we're envisioning, but I think as time evolves, so we're sort of like, I would consider this almost like a phase 3. You had the 2 prior economic development reports and plans. Now we're working on this. The facade improvement would be phase 4, but then I think at one point, if the town wanted to, and they had the option of looking at potentially MassWorks grants. Sidewalks could also be looked at, incorporated during the site plan review approval process for some of these uses in the zoning bylaw. I think it takes a myriad of creativity and use of regulatory tools to make it all come together. And that's why I wanted to mention at the beginning that it's sort of a gradual process. And the bylaw is to get people thinking of how we can make it work. Like, I'm of the mindset, I'm the kind of person that I like to hear the problems because I want to find solutions. So listening to what you've had to say made me think. You said fire and building. I thought municipal building reuse study committee. You mentioned bicycle lanes. I thought MassWorks grants. And I think that we're sort of all embarking together. And truthfully, your town staff has been great. It's great to work with. And I feel fortunate I've been part of this team. So I think we're sort of looking at things from multiple perspectives, and this is sort of like the crucial part of getting all of your long-range visions and goals and actions of your master plan and any other long-range plan that you have adopted and move forward in this whole center.
The reason I ask is because you did mention it was a state highway. And
Yeah.
it is a 4-lane road.
It is.
And I live on the other side of town near Oxford. And I have ridden my bike down Southford Street.
Yeah.
It's miserable.
Yeah.
I would love to the lanes go all the way through Auburn. And just, like you had mentioned, it being a state highway,
Yeah.
I don't know with the feasibility of that, even just outside of the square, it's all the way down.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely something as a town we could look at, in avenues like the Mass Work Grant, stuff like that. It's definitely something that other residents have expressed too, having more bicycle lanes and more accessibility. So it's definitely something we can bring up to our DPW director and whoever would be involved in that process, and take that back. And just to circle back, I just meant to say something when you did. One, we had that vision plan also. People, the residents who came and business owners wanted to see more independent small businesses in the area, more specialized uses rather than like larger chains or stuff like that, or larger brands. That was a high need or want that was incorporated in that plan. So this would supplement that type of language that was in that vision plan.
On your slide up there, where is the town pizza building? And where would that be? No, back on that slide.
No, it's the last one.
No,
So that's an
That's
example.
a side view of the town of Auburn.
It's not on
that
here.
map there, you have a bunch of buildings,
Yes.
say this is what it's going to look like.
So that's the side of Verizon.
That's Verizon?
Yeah.
Yes, that's Verizon.
This would be Verizon.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's Verizon.
Yep, so that's
So that's
Verizon.
the medical building behind it and...
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep, yep. So then we had like an example for
So the
town.
gas station is gone.
The one, that's on the opposite
next
side of the
lot.
street.
That's on the
There's a
Verizon
gas station
side.
on that side.
Oh, right.
Farther down.
Oh, yes, yes.
It's farther down.
So that's what's depicting the gas station and,
Do we have gas
So-
stations in this area?
no,
No, gas station has to go, or is not?
They're allowed to
There's
stay if
that.
they're there. Yep.
Yeah, they can continue to stay.
That's
Just because
just
this is
an
a potential, yeah.
We didn't put any like teeth. It's just what it could be used. Like if you were to like if businesses were to rebuild, and they rebuilt in this way, it shows like the safe traffic routing through the multi-story buildings, the shared parking in the back. So it just shows like years down the line what it potentially could look like, but not what it currently looks like, obviously. We just kind of use the Verizon building as to get your bearings and to what area you're looking at. Any other questions, concerns, anything? Now's the time. And we'll have another public meeting. Planning board, per the law, needs to hold a public meeting and it needs to be advertised. Sure.
how is the Auburn Mall play into this whole thing?
So they're not involved in this zoning bylaw. So this is really to create
No,
a
but
smaller one.
They're part of making this a village, though, isn't it?
They're not included in the village district. They're very close to it, obviously, but they have their own zoning and overlay district in the mall. This wouldn't influence that at all. So they're not included. The boundaries stop.
Because my question is, how long is the Auburn Mall going to be there?
I mean, they're doing, yeah, that's
No,
a complete.
I just, right now, you have a medical building.
Does that show
You
them?
have us.
Okay, thank you.
It's actually something that we're looking at in the master plan committee as well to put some recommendations in the zoning in that area, which is separate from this,
Yeah.
to future-proofing for the time when the mall does, potentially need to change. I think there's, similar to current zoning in this area, there's some things that can be done in the mall area to make it easier for them to redevelop, but that's not part of this bylaw.
And we have a ton of, Adam does a great job. CMRPC has helped us with a ton of things. We have a ton of planning initiatives going on at once at any given time. Master plans, we're working really hard to update that. Adam's been working with the committee for that. So if you're ever interested, if you have a concern with town, if you want to offer something, master plan's a great place to start. We always try to post things on our website and social media and stuff. With just little info of what planning initiatives we have. We have the economic development plan up there, the housing plan, the Drury Square vision plan, previous master plans. So basically these zonings help take what the residents and businesses have expressed they want and tries to shape it and make it happen. That's essentially what a zoning bylaw does. But it really takes, the whole community to make that happen. But it's pretty much a first step to do that.
So the businesses you found are in favor of a zoning bylaw, of changing the bylaws?
So the ones, the visioning plan for Drury Square, there was quite a bit of businesses that attended that expressed their thoughts, what they would like to see. They heard the residents' feedback. We invited the businesses. A lot of them came to the first public information session, mostly just asked questions about how would this influence future sales or my business, which it wouldn't, but it would give them the ability, if they wanted to add a second story or something like that, if they were in it, to do that and have more freedom with their business. So they had opportunity to give concerns, give ideas, which many of them did. They were invited to the other meetings afterwards as well. So they've been involved in pretty much every stage, the ones who came and offered input. But they were all notified throughout the whole process. Same with the facade improvement, and as those move on, there'll be more public meetings as well for those.
So one recommendation I'm going to make is get ready to present this at town meeting is to make sure, because the biggest question that will come up is, are we forcing anybody to make changes?
Yeah, exactly.
So my suggestion is you make that very upfront, very clear, that if somebody has something, they don't have to do anything.
Exactly.
Because that was really, I think, what killed this 10 years ago, is when it got presented in town meeting, it didn't make, the presentation did not extol the benefits, but just raised a whole bunch of questions of this is going to force me to have to redo my building. And after a certain amount of time, everybody just said, that's all the attention I have for
Yeah.
this, so no thanks.
Exactly, and that was the concerns that got brought up on the first meeting that we had. Most of the business owners really wanted to know what role they played in this and what, if they would be forced or anything. And once we calmed their nerves and kind of explained more of what the intent was, they understood. It's all grandfathered
So,
in.
let me see if I get this right. So if an existing business, whatever use it is, wants to sell, and as long as, but same type of business can move in there, okay? Without any restrictions, as long as it's the same as the old.
Yep, the uses are grandfathered in. Yep,
McDonald's could sell their building to Burger
Right.
King.
exactly.
So this goes on and on and on and on and on. There's no cutoff saying, no, you can't.
Nope, so it's a grandfathered use. So it's no forcible changes.
So it doesn't prevent any business owner from selling his business. I'm just going to say like Town Pizza.
Yep.
That was just sold, I guess, recently, last year. So the new owners under this could resell their business
As long as they're
and
used.
still be a pizza place.
Yep, exactly. Yep, same with like McDonald's to Burger King or something like
But if they
that.
want to put drive-through,
So no, so that would be where it came in. So it would really be the uses are there, which it doesn't do a hardship in that regard, because obviously the buildings are suited for a certain thing. Like Fuller's is a good example. They have auto repair, stuff like that. It's suited for that. Obviously, it'd be easier to sell for that purpose, and that would be grandfathered in.
okay, and it doesn't affect the Savers Bank and their drive-through at all.
No, the drive-through is more for fast food drive-through, like McDonald's, stuff like that. But if they sold it to another bank that had a drive-through, that would be.
McDonald's keeps, whoever the next business would be, still could be a drive-through.
Yep. If it was the same use. Yep. Same, as long as they weren't like expanding the structure, making any significant changes, that kind of thing. If the use stayed the same, that's grandfathered.
How would this say if they wanted to remodel?
Internal remodeling wouldn't be affected, external wouldn't be affected unless they change the footprint.
Okay, so they stay within their current footprint, they can remodel, and they don't have to meet any guidelines for frontage,
For the new
someone.
bylaw, yep.
The other thing I would point out, though, is that they actually gain rights in this
They
new
do.
bylaw.
Yeah.
They could say, hey, I want to turn my McDonald's into a 3-story building with apartments above the McDonald's, and they have the right to do that, which they could not do today. And there's no way, maybe through planning board they could eventually,
Yeah,
but I don't
it'd be
think
a lot
a 3-story
more.
building, I don't think you can give an exemption to. So that gives them new capabilities that they didn't have before. Now, up to them whether they want to act on it or not, but at least it It's not adding more prohibitions necessarily, it's actually expanding what they can do with the property.
Exactly. Yeah, and as things change and more businesses, new businesses come in, they might want to make that change, you know, if they have more foot traffic. So it gives them more flexibility for their buildings, what they can do with their use. So it's more lenient in a lot of ways, this bylaw. Anything else? Or any? And obviously, a lot of the questions you raised about the facade, the wayfinding, the tip project, all those will have public outreach components. Usually they're notified, social media, in the newspaper, ACTV, on the website. So if you guys are looking for putting your input with those will be happening relatively soon. We're starting on one of the grants relatively soon, and then probably the other one as well. So you'll have opportunities as time goes on to put your input in as well with those.
You know, I thought I read in the paper, it was a few weeks back, that you're possibly going to put this to the voters in May.
The town meeting in May, yeah.
Well, I mean, no, for the town people.
It'll be for town meeting in May. Yep. So,
Again, the town meeting has to approve it.
yep, so town
Two-thirds.
meeting, yep,
Two-thirds
two-thirds vote. Yep, so they'll have the opportunity to approve this in May. And then if they approve it, it would go to the Attorney General, she would approve the bylaw, and then would go.
I got this mixed up with the swimming pool.
Oh, yeah. Yes, the swimming pool is the ballot.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right,
potentially, yep. Yes, there's a lot of things going on at once.
The difference is the swimming pool costs us. That's going to be on the taxpayer. This is supposedly not going to cost us anything.
Yep.
You mean Dave doesn't have 14 million ready to put into a swimming pool?
Does anyone else have any questions with the zoning bylaw or anything like that? Or any suggestions, concerns? If you have anything when you go home, or if you read over the draft bylaw, have any questions, feel free to contact any one of us. On the last page of the slide, there's all of our contact information. We're available by email, phone, anything you guys feel you want to get out before town meeting, feel free. We're always available. And then also, planning board will be holding one most likely at the end of February, the last public meeting, or in
Early March,
early
probably.
March, yeah, early March most
Early
likely.
mid-March.
So that would be another opportunity that public can attend. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming. Hopefully it's not raining and yucky out. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming.